All right, so let's talk about space. What happens when, when the big thing isn't planting a flag on Mars, but who owns all the data up there?
Yeah, it's a whole new kind of space race, right? Like we're not even there yet, and folks are already staking claims on Martian data. It's interesting. It's definitely interesting.
Yeah, and this is what Amanada Diallo is looking into.
Yeah, cartographies of data, right?
Exactly. A legal framework for Martian exploration. I mean, it sounds kind of dry, but when you think about it, this is like the Wild West of data.
Oh, absolutely. And Diallo, she's not your typical space lawyer. She's a designer, actually.
Oh, really? I wouldn't have guessed that. So how did she end up tackling, Martian law?
Well, she's got this really unique way of looking at things. Like she combines cartography, which you think of as maps, right? But she combines that with law, and then throws in psychology too.
Wow, that's a mix.
It is, but it makes sense, right? Because when you think about it, maps aren't just about, mountains and rivers. They're about relationships, like who controlled what, who has access to what. And that's what she's doing with data on Mars.
So she's mapping out like the power dynamics, basically.
Yeah, like where the data flows, who might benefit, who might get shut out.
Right.
And that's where the psychology comes in because, people act in predictable ways when it comes to resources, right?
Wow.
Especially if those resources are scarce. And she's trying to design a system that takes all that into account.
That's smart. So what's she actually proposing? Like, how do you even start to regulate something like Martian data?
Well, one of the big things she talks about is like a tiered system of ownership. Some data, like the stuff that's vital for survival, that's got to be a global commons. Everyone has access.
Makes sense. But what about the stuff that's commercially valuable? Like, what if some company finds a massive ice deposit that's gold?
Right, and that's where things get tricky. But Diallo, she's got this idea of, think of it like eminent domain, but for data.
Okay, I'm not sure I follow.
So, like, if a discovery is made that could benefit the entire colony, then that data, it kind of graduates to public ownership.
So it's like the greater good trumps private profit in those cases.
Yeah, something like that. I mean, it's all theoretical, but it's getting people to think about these questions now before we have a Martian land grab on our hands.
That's wild. So it's like we're not just talking about data, we're talking about building a whole new society on Mars.
Exactly. And those rules, they matter. And what's really cool is that this isn't just about Mars. We're facing the same questions here on Earth with data privacy and ownership and all that.
True. Diallo's work is like a preview of the challenges to come, no matter where we are. Well, this has been incredibly thought-provoking. I'm actually kind of blown away by all this.
Yeah, it's definitely some food for thought.
It is. It is. And a huge thank you to everyone listening to Exploring Futures. We hope you found this deep dive into cartographies of data as fascinating as we did.
Yeah, definitely share it with anyone who's interested in the future, right? Because this is where we're headed.
Exactly. Thanks again, everyone, and we'll catch you on the next